What's up, Magic players? It's Doyle, your host here on DoylePrimeMTG, where I bring you the latest and greatest in Magic content that I can, while still trying to have a life. This week, I go back to my roots in Mono Green, with a deck that I had a lot of fun building. Saryth the Viper's Fang takes Death Touch Tribal to all new heights.
Forests, islands, mountains, plains, and swamps. The multiverse is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be. There is a tingling in the spine, a faint sensation, as if a distant memory, of walking from plane to plane. Our lives have been forever changed, as if by magic. Embark with me on this journey to eternity. Experience the true power of mind over matter, as we ignite your spark and traverse into the magic multiverse.
Saryth the Viper's Fang costs 2 green for a legendary 3/4 human warlock with 3 major abilities. Other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch, other untapped creatures you control have Hexproof, and 1 and tap to untap another target creature or land that you control. Saryth can be built for combo, sure, but she can also be built for Death Touch Tribal, which is what I got excited about. Death Touch is one of my favorite abilities because of how it interacts with Trample. Since we only need to deal 1 damage to a creature to kill it, the rest can trample through, regardless of how much toughness the blocking creature has. The idea here is stompy trample creatures with Death Touch to make them even less appealing for blocks. We will also include some ways to untap our creatures for surprise hexproof as well as surprise blockers. People really just aren't going to want to do combat with us. For ramping up the curve, we will utilize some of Mono Green's greatest resources. Elvish Mystic, Fyndhorn Elves, and Llanowar Elves will each ramp us up on turn 1 for an extra green mana. Tangled Florahedron will fit nicely as either a land or a mana dork, depending on our needs. Nature's Lore and Rampant Growth and 3 Visits can each help us get more forests into play ahead of curve as early as turn 2. Cultivate and Kodama's Reach will each put a forest into play tapped and another into our hand. Niss's Pilgrimage and Skyshroud Claim will each find us 2 basic forests into play. The Claim has them enter untapped, and the Pilgrimage has a bonus mode to potentially find us 3 forests into play tapped instead. Llanowar Tribe, Circle of Dreams Druid, and Karametra's Alkalite will each generate us large quantities of mana, propelling us further and further towards our endgame. Goreclaw, Terror of Kalsisma, will make our larger creatures cost 2 less to cast, also buffing them and giving them trample when he attacks. Sakura Tribe Scout can tap to put a land from our hand into play. We can even ramp using our lands through Nykthos Shine to Nyx, Myriad Landscape, and Blighted Woodland. With all these big creatures, Shamanic Revelation, Regal Force, and Rishkar's expertise will kick us off with some huge bursts of card advantage. Beast Whisperer and Lifecrafter's Bestiary can generate us card advantage as we cast our creature spells, while Soul of the Harvest and Garruk's Pack Leader can generate us more advantage when those creatures enter the battlefield. Augur of Autumn and Nylea Keen-Eyed can each generate us repeatable value from the top of our library. Hunter's Insight, Toski Bearer of Secrets, and Auran Frostfang will each generate us advantage when our creatures deal combat damage to a player. With Death Touch and Trample, these triggers are sure to happen. Controlling the game space is almost the namesake of this deck. Scattershot Archer and Matsu Tribe's Sniper can each tap to deal damage to creatures with flying using an ability. When they're tapped, this gives them Death Touch, allowing them to be anti-flying turrets. Walking Ballista and Lesser Mastercore will each be able to ping any creature repeatedly. The trick for these is just getting them tapped safely. Of course, Holdout Settlement and Survivor's Encampment can do quite nicely to tap our creatures if we need it. Endbringer can kill something each turn, while Viridian Longbow can assist us in turning any creature into a death pinger. Uvenwald Tracker and Halana Kessig Ranger can each help us to force fights. Quarian Ranger and Scrib Ranger can untap things in a pinch by returning a land to our hand, while Thousand Year Elixir and Seeker of Skybreak can untap stuff repeatedly throughout the game. Removal in this deck is heavily Death Touch based, though not entirely. Ram Through, Cetizen Tactics, Clear Shot, Colony Ambush, and Roar of Challenge can each force our opponent's creatures to take damage from our creatures. Bonds of Mortality and Arcane Lighthouse can ensure that no creatures are beyond our grasp. Song of the Dryads, Reclamation Sage, and Azuri's Predation are a bit more typical pieces of removal, but will round things out nicely in this build. Oak Street Innkeeper, Heroic Intervention, and Rapid Vigor will each help us to protect our creatures from removal. Closing out the game will be focused on our big beefy creatures getting through in combat. Mana Gorger Hydra and Predator Ooze will each get bigger over time and trample over our opponent's forces. Spawn Wraith and Giant Ataphage will each make copies of themselves when dealing combat damage to a player. With Trample and Death Touch, these triggers are very difficult to prevent. Nylea, God of the Hunt, and Thunderfoot Baloth can help to give other creatures trample with a little buff, while Kamal, Heart of Krosa, and Blossoming Bogbeast can give all of our creatures a decent buff and trample until the end of the turn. Galta can come down super early, giving us a massive beater for very little mana. Living Hive makes token insects as it deals combat damage to a player. Unnatural Growth can double all of our creatures' power during our combat step. And finally, Finn the Fangbearer can lead us into a poisonous victory, letting our Death Touch creatures become poisonous as well. The lands being used in this deck will mostly be forest, though due to Endbringer requiring colorless mana, I've also included Wirewood Lodge, Thespian Stage, and Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, along with the previously mentioned colorless producing lands, in order to smooth out the mana production a bit, while also providing us with some added utility. For color fixing, we have, drumroll please, 23 forests. That about wraps it up for this deck tech. I hope you enjoyed the video. You'll find the link to the full deck list on arcadeck.com in the description, complete with a maybe board. Let me know in the comments below if you think that you would take this deck in a different direction, or if there are any key includes that I missed. Cheers, and happy casting. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that like button, and also share it with your friends. If you want to see more videos like these, or hear me ramble about how to navigate this magic multiverse, go ahead and click that subscribe button to stay up to date on the latest from me, Doyle Prime, and the happenings throughout Magic the Gathering. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you all next video.